Hey everybody, it's Avenge Decay here, and I'm going to be giving my review on The Last of Us Part 2. Now, prepare for a lot of negatives, because I think this is just one of those games that just needs... I need to get my point across, even if, to some people, it might be unpopular. But I think at this point, I mean, considering all the hate it's gotten, I think it's pretty popular. And yeah, I'm finally manning up, and I'm finally making a review on this game. Now, unfortunately, I never finished it because I just can't finish this game. I tried to enjoy it for about maybe 13 hours in, maybe 14. I don't even know how long I spent on this game. That's how much I was really That's how much I was invested in this game. And due to the fact that you just don't know where you're going, also does not help. The game doesn't handhold you as much as it probably should. Now, I don't want games to always hold me, but in world games, everybody deserves a map. Because it just makes exploration a lot more tiresome. Again, that's just my opinion. But there's a lot of things that this game executes poorly compared to Last of Us 1. And we're going to be going through all of them. Starting with the mechanics of this game. I don't really enjoy the mechanics of this game. I'm going to be honest. I think they are really outdated and feel rehashed in a bad way. Like, you can have the same mechanics, but it's not altered or changed or anything. There's nothing new. And in fact, I think like the open world aspect of this game makes it even harder for me to enjoy. Now, there's plenty of open world games that I never got to finish, like Witcher 3, due to it being really long. But for the most part, I feel like that delivers really well in a story perspective. In this game, I don't think it repays itself in any way. Some people enjoy the gameplay of this game, and I understand that. But the landscape design just feels really poor, feels really lazy eventually. Now, game is pretty much hard if you're not playing on the lightest difficulty. Or you're not playing on light difficulty. As it's really hard to aim. I mean, just because I'm bad at third-person shooter aiming. I'm just bad at, like, first-person shooter games in general. But I'm average at them, you know? But the issue here is the guns don't feel good. They don't feel fun to use. And rather than it being focused on stealth, I feel like at times there's moments like this, for example, that require absolute violence and an absolute aggressive approach. This is not what The Last of Us was known for. Oh my god. Anyway, there's a lot of things I hate about this game, and that's one of them. Like, come on, man. Why are you making me kill a dog? Anyways, there's plenty of other things I hate about this game. And we're not going to get right into the story. As I'm explaining, the landscape design is really boring. I like the first landscape design more than I do this one, as I felt like I was in the exact same map. There was one point in the game where I actually felt like I was in the same exact location for 3 to 4 hours straight. It went from being, you know, something, it made me feel it made me feel like I was like playing in a mirror, where pretty much everything was a mirrored reflection of the previous area. And there was moments where I got lost, and there was buildings that I wasn't sure that I was supposed that I checked, or ones that I did. And that's due to the really lazy level. In Last of Us 1, I knew exactly where it was going because everything felt different. Here, you can definitely tell that they got really lazy, and this building is not going to be the only building like the only building that's going to be open, and so on forth. And these grass fields isn't going to be the only time you're going to see it. You're going to have these grass fields throughout the entire game, which is okay. I mean, I understand that. It's for environment, it's for the environment effect. And the scenery effect, and due to the overgrown grass, it shows how abandoned, it shows the, like, sort of feeling of abandonment. Like, the city has been overrun by zombies for decades. But that being said, I think stealth mechanic wise, I think there is way better games that perform this way better. Splinter Cell is definitely one of them, and Metal Gear Solid 5, or just Metal Gear Solid in general, is another one. Which is kind of ironic because I feel like that's what this game tried to incorporate, was Metal Gear Solid stealth mechanics. But I just don't think it holds up. Now, I don't know. I haven't played Metal Gear Solid in a while, and maybe that game may feel outdated now that there's been more than just that in terms of stealth games. But I think there's way better games that better. Not to mention, there's way too much enemies in one area. Again, unless you're playing on light difficulty, then they reduce the enemies. But it's just the way the enemies spawn. Again, I feel like it's really lazy because there would be enemies that would literally just spawn out of nowhere and just catch you. They'll just see you. And that's it. So the stealth just feels really slow paced and boring. Like, there's moments where I just literally just want to go loud because how boring it can actually be. Now, again, that's probably just my preference. And that's just my experience with the game. Some people may like that, but for me, I'm not a big fan of it. There's plenty more to talk about this game. And plenty more to talk about this game, mainly what happens in the 2 hours of this lifetime of this game that completely destroyed my entire motivation until I thought, I would get the satisfying ending that I deserved, which I literally just watched a video on because, to be honest, after that happened, I wasn't even sure if I even wanted to continue playing the game. Because that just pissed me off, and then the ending just ended up pissing me off even more. I did look at it in a different perspective, but I don't think it even mattered. Because I think the damage is done, and I think I was just ready to move on because of the slow-paced gameplay. The fact that I had no idea where I was going either. The lazy level designs, the lazy story writing, I wouldn't say the lazy dialogue, but the best way I can describe this game is just a lazy dumpster fire. This is like what this is how The Last Jedi was to me. I didn't have any connection with any of the characters. Ellie is, again, the one that you should be rooting for, but apparently Ellie is not good enough anymore. So they added in another character named Abby, which really nobody cares about, and nobody wants to care about her. Because she's just not easy to connect with, and they don't really introduce her until later on in the actual game. Okay, no, they introduce her in the stupidest way possible, but it's not a good way. And it doesn't make the character any more... forgivable. If they showed it a little bit earlier, then maybe it would have changed after that. You just can't sympathize once that character does the things that she does. But the game wants you to for some reason. But it just won't happen. So what are the other steps that I have? Oh yeah, there's plenty. Yeah, there's plenty actually. Another one is I feel like this game just takes way too long for the sake of more gameplay, which is okay. I mean, like, more gameplay is okay to have, but I feel like the gameplay is just endless cycles, and that just goes back to what I said before: the lack of anything happening throughout the whole 8 hours of this game. Maybe, I don't know, maybe because I got lost so easily when I was playing this game, and that could have a major impact on that. But I felt like I was going in the same locations over and over and over again. Actually, you do. You end up being in the same location 3 times in a row without any scenery change. The only scenery that changes is the daytime and weather, which overall just does not have any, that doesn't have as much of a big impact as you'd want. I'm sorry if I'm having a hard time saying some things. Just, I'm trying to keep it cool. And I have so many things in my mind. Sometimes I'm just like, I have like more than one thing in my mind going on. Sometimes it happens. Now, unfortunately, I can't really review this game without really spoiling it. So if I do, I'm sorry, guys. But you gotta like, keep in mind that this game has also been... So, anyways, another story issue I had with this game was the fact that you played as the person you hated, that the game wants you to hate, just to 180 your entire, just to 180 your expectations later on in the game, just because of plot twist reasons. Which I don't understand. It doesn't need to be like this, but it does. Anyways, that's pretty much when I stopped playing the game, because I really just couldn't care about that character. I didn't care enough about her, and if they wanted me to get to know her, they should have done it way before. Rather than, like, 15 hours in the game, and that's another issue I had with this game, is the pacing. It sucks. The pacing is gotta be the worst I've ever seen in a video game. It is not paced very well, and again, it reminds me, the other reasons why I say this game reminds me too much of The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker. As both those story executions were terrible. And that's what this game can easily be compared to. Or Game of Thrones, the last season, or the last episode of Game of Thrones. It's that distracting to me. And if I don't have a good story that has any reason to even exist, or to give me a reason why it should exist, then I'm gonna lose interest. And unfortunately, this game does not give any reason of why you do what you do, because the ending doesn't even give you that. The ending is basically just telling what happened in the story, due to your expectations, falls flat in its face. And the issue is, we see this plenty of times when anything is focused on SJW. Now, I'm okay with equality. Don't get me wrong. But one thing people need to realize is that equality means being equal to all genders. That's something that SJW, that's something that this whole woke indication fails to provide. Is equality is not being justified. In fact, it's complete opposite, and they always deny males because of equality. That is not how. That's not what equality should be, and the execution in any way is completely rejected and ignored. And that's the reason why a lot of these stories, a lot of these writers fail to understand and fail to deliver something actually unique and creative. It's due to that very reason. And we see this time and time again, that media tries to push this focus on wokeness or SJW, and it just does not work. In order for SJW to work, you need to have the right audience. And unfortunately, the majority of the audience that you're trying to attract does not care about agenda. They just want to play entertaining. But that's my perspective of what SJW is. Some do it right, but majority of the times, these writers, a lot of writers lack imagination. I know because I actually wanted to be a book writer, but knowing how the world is now, and knowing that I really need to decide on my future right now, I don't think being a book writer would be anything I'd be willing to do at this point. But I do know how a story should be written. And it's not... And if you are trying to include all genders, it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter what sexuality or what gender or race. Equality means to involve everyone. However, this hypocritical statement is the reason why people just turn the other way and just completely see it as completely see SJW as oblivious. And this game really does show it. Not only that, the writers, a lot of writers that claim to be part of the SJW group are very hypocritical towards whatever you say. Everything is wrong. No matter what your opinion is, you're not allowed to have an opinion. And appreciation towards the things that I love. I don't like when people turn down each other in such a manner, but SJW wokers is at this point a symbolism of bullying. So the fact that they're supporting the very thing that they're trying to support, it just does not work. But anyways, I need to stop talking about it. I might do another video just explaining my reasoning why I'm not a big fan of people that support SJW. If you do, I expect you to do it properly and not in a hypocritical one gender has to have dominance over the other. It should be both the same. But anyways, that's pretty much what drives this game down, though. Is they doesn't even have respect for the main characters of the game, and that hurts even more. And pretty much the narrative all just ends up just being a really tedious and pointless implication of revenge being wrong, and rather than it ending with a conclusive narrative, instead it just ends with, I guess in a way you can say, a pointless grind or a pointless gimmick that ends up being a message about virtual signaling that just does not make sense in a narrative perspective or point of view. Anyways, due to that, the story and the really boring gameplay, I'm gonna give this game, honestly, a lot of people are giving this game 6, and I understand that, but we gotta keep in mind that these people are not new. Naughty Dogs have been making games for decades. However, I mean, there is a new writer, and that could have a lot of impact on how the game how the game ended up being. But I don't think, and the fact that they also came to Anita for advice on how to make a good game, which the moment you do that is the moment your game is just literally going to be hated by thousands of dozens of people. But we got to keep in mind that these are game developers. They have to expect criticism. Now, it's not okay for you to be toxic towards them, but they also need to realize the mistakes that they've done, rather than blaming the media, blaming the internet for being toxic. Which at this point, again, is a hypocritical statement, as they're the ones that are bullying us into submission. And also, not the blowback also doesn't help the fact that the spoilers came out ahead of time, but I don't think it would have really mattered. I think people would have just been exactly the same, would have had the exact same feelings as they did before. Before the spoilers. Or after the spoilers, I mean. What the heck is going on with my arm? What the heck? Hello? Anyways, anyways, due to those facts, and again, I'm sorry this review took a long time. I probably should have just talked about the game, but it needs to be said, because I'm getting tired of us not feeling like the local majority or the local minority towards Hollywood and towards famous writers and actors, and reasons of blaming us for the past decisions, for everything that we say towards them, and how we don't know any better. Anyways, I'm going to continue. I'm going to give this game, honestly, a solid 4 out of 10. Other people may give it 6 out of 10, but again, you got to remember, with everything they've done and everything they're continuing to do, and how unsatisfying this game really ends up being, especially when it's supposed to be focused on story mainly, and people got it for a story and not just gameplay. It can't get anywhere above 5. And the main reason why it doesn't get a 5 is because it feels like it's not even necessary. There's no reason for it to even exist. And I don't know, maybe they could have turned it around if they didn't focus on an SJW perspective. But either way, the gameplay just drags on for no apparent reason. So that's my final verdict. It's going to be a 4, because there's a lot of things I didn't like about this game. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my review. Sorry it was a little longer than I was expecting. I was just expecting to talk about it. But yeah, that's going to be the end of my video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, sub. It would be greatly appreciated. If you disliked my review, then you can dislike it. I mean, everybody has a different opinion. And yeah, that's going to be it.